So let's see if we can punch this up. And doggone, that's a new panel too. Oh, that's one of the reasons I hate snow. It's so damaging to my greenhouse. Hey garden friends, welcome to my greenhouse. It's a cold, snowy day. You may hear snow bombs hitting the roof of the greenhouse. I did take a moment to punch one of the panels back up, hopefully to prevent any more snow coming in over in that area. We don't know how well it's going to work. But today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about slow gardening for a bit. There's a real push with marketing, etc., for instant gratification in the gardens. And they've really kind of gotten away from the true beauty of gardening, in my opinion. And it's all about, a lot of it is marketing. And it's true, you know, you can buy the latest and greatest and beautiful full bloom plants or larger plants and put them in your garden and have a beautiful space. But number one, that's super expensive. Number two, you don't always know if those plants are going to work over the long haul in your garden. So you've spent a big chunk of money. And I just did a video on how to save money in the garden. And for a lot of people, budget concerns are very, very real. And yet they really would like a beautiful garden. And slow gardening is another ticket to get there. Without thinking that you need to jump on the bandwagon of everything from a certain plant grower, a certain seed company, a certain way to do it. Fall back onto a slower way of just curating your garden. Not trying to force it into some mold that you've seen on YouTube or Instagram. Not thinking you have to buy a brand name plant. Not thinking that to get beauty, you need to do it a certain way. A lot of times that push for instant gratification can really rob you of the true joy that you can be found in gardening. And that's the slow nurturing of your space. Whether it's very small or you have a larger area to contend with. You know, a lot of things online I've seen are for cut flower farmers, and those are wonderful. But if you're not in that realm, you don't need to start that many seeds. Like with a lot of people like the soil blocking, but I have found that it's not cost effective, nor do they grow any better than starting them in maybe, I do a lot of recycled containers. I don't know well, here I know in my winter sowing projects, I also use these. I use the salad bins that I poke holes in, and I seed them. And those cost nothing because what I had already paid for the product that came in now. So I do buy potting soil from time to time. Many times I DIY my own potting soil because I was using so much of it. It just was more cost effective. And buying in bulk was also more earth friendly. And I'm really trying to aim for more earth friendly methods, because all the plastic, where's that going? That you're buying bags of soil. Where's, you know, the fuel cost for delivery of those bags to the garden center? I mean, I'm trying to think of all those things to be more conscious and earth friendly. So, you know, slow gardening, it really isn't just about growing plants. You know, it's also connecting with nature. And as I said, developing the sustainability practices that you have to think ahead. You don't always need to fertilize soil. Your ground could be fertile and you don't even know it. Whereas many marketers, influencers would have you think you have to buy fertilizers to put in your soil when you plant plants. And that's not always the case. It just isn't. Your soil may be perfectly fine. I wanted to make sure that people who've never gardened before actually knew that. They don't need to buy all of these things to get started. Slow gardening encourages you to focus on soil biodiversity, plant selection, sustainability, instead of forcing results. It keeps you in tune with what's going on too. One thing about gardeners is we are always in tune with the weather, etc. Right that. So instead of rushing out to buy things to put in your soil, regenerate your soil. I have a whole, I don't think I did a video, did I? No, I didn't do a video, but I did a blog post on regenerating your soil, but I also have one on composting and how to build organic soil. And most of that is free. To build the compost bin that I have done, you do have to buy fence boards, but it's relatively inexpensive. You can also just pile up your stuff for composting. You don't have to buy anything particular. I'm looking down at my notes in case you wondered. Okay, so one thing about slow gardeners is we always prefer earth-friendly methods. Mulching, planting cover crops, companion planting, ground covers, all of these, and also natural pest control methods. And natural doesn't mean spraying anything on it. Natural means being in tune with your plant and seeing when something's getting started and taking care of it then before the damage gets too far. You create, one thing nice about slow gardening, and I have to mention this, is you're creating a garden that takes less maintenance because you're focusing on the health of the soil, which promotes the health of the plant, which repels pests, repels disease, etc. And then, so all of those other things that you have to pay money for, you don't need. So let's see, okay. So we want to be mindful, take time in the garden. So the benefits, you get to appreciate everything in your garden. You sit back, you listen to the birds, you attract the birds, you attract bats, you attract things that will keep everything in check. The sights, the smells, the textures. I try to plant for things that are fragrant at different times of the day. That enhances the enjoyment of your garden. You're more likely to take notice of pests or diseases as they get started. That's one thing I mentioned. And this is before they become a major problem. So even like spider mites, you'll see, or others, they'll start spraying immediately. And if you keep your garden within a manageable size, you will not need that. You can go out, and I did this last year, and it worked very well. A hose with a power nozzle, just start spraying it down, maybe twice a day. Just take a moment, a break during the day. I work from home, have to get up from my computer, or whatever other task I'm doing, and I go out and I just spray a section of the plants that are struggling with spider mites. And the water spray, they don't like moisture. The water spray, stuff like that, knocks them down, and then the plant has a chance to recover. We won't get into all the bricks levels. If your plant is healthy, pests will not be attracted to it, even spider mites. If the bricks level, which is the sugar content of the leaves of your plant, this is a whole scientific subject, I'm just going to briefly touch on it, is at a level above a certain number, and I can't remember what that number is, the pests that want to chew on or live off your plant cannot digest it. Therefore, they won't come for your plant. So, soil health, plant health, no pests. One thing to get to know. Anytime you add a fertilizer, a spray, even an organic spray, and things like that, I'm talking about pest spray, you inhibit the microorganisms in the soil which help the plant get that bricks level. So you are actually counterproductive to what you're trying to attain. And I'm sorry I touched into something I can't explain to you very well, but look it up. Look up about, it's all included in permaculture and returning to nature's way of gardening. You can learn about even companion planting for pest control. I'll link a book, or I'll put the tag up here. I can't remember the name of it, and I don't want to missay it right now. And it really has scientific backing of what plants to plant with other plants to help mitigate pest problems for those plants. So this, if you're present in the garden and you're seeing what goes well together, you're planting companion plants, you're reducing your work at what is required to maintain it if there's not any problems. So if you allow nature to do its job in your garden, then you free yourself up for sitting and enjoying sipping a cool drink, or just enjoying the beauty around you. And you're not struggling to keep your garden healthy and beautiful. And that saves time. So that everybody wins when you garden with nature rather than against it. So you practice it, some key practices. Let's go over this. Soil health should be top priority. Healthy soil means healthy plants. Healthy plants are more resistant to pests and diseases. Therefore, again, it mitigates problems. You don't have to spray, add anything that just perpetuates the problem. Adding the organic amendments, whether you find them in your garden, your kitchen scraps, or whatever, it builds the soil, it feeds the microorganisms. Win, win, win all the time. And also reduces weeds. So mulching around the plants, which of course also builds the soil, retains moisture, which saves water, which saves money, and that's very important in areas, especially here in California where it's drought-ridden. Keep your weeding easy. I have a whole thing on that. You can go by and scrape them up if you have like a little hoe with you, or as you're walking through, pull a few. It doesn't have to be all at once, so don't be overwhelmed by it. If you're doing the other practices like mulching, etc., your weeding should be kept to a minimum. So one way, choose native plants. I've mentioned that, but walk around your neighborhood if you want to find something that thrives in your garden and see what is doing well with little care in other gardens. We have many homes that were vacant for a long, long time in our neighborhood, and there's lilacs, there's roses, there's all kinds, forsythia, many plants that just thrived, even though they got no extra watering, no care, no weeding, no nothing, no pest control. They did great. Look at those as great backbones for your garden or low maintenance plants if you find some to put in your garden. Or as I had mentioned before, in my Save Money in Your Garden is take cuttings, divisions, etc. of neighbors' plants that do well. And that is just something, if something thrives, then it's going to be low maintenance, but it's also going to be good for the environment. I'm sorry, that startled me. Knowing your gardening zone. That is one piece of the equation. I would say knowing your growing conditions is equal to, if not more important than knowing your gardening zone. Gardening zones can vary as to growing conditions across the areas, across the United States is what I'm familiar with. But 8A, 8 in A in Dallas, or 8B, Zone 8 in Dallas, Texas. I'm in California of the mountains, Seattle, Washington. The growing conditions are very different, and what plants thrive for me will not thrive in Seattle, will not thrive in Dallas. So the zoning is only one piece of the equation. And you have to be careful where you get your information, because you have to be careful that it's not all about the marketing, and you want something that's truly going to fit your circumstances, whether it's financial or circumstantial. And different people have different methods that people find helpful. I had one lady say that she found it too fiddly to work with milk jugs or these water jugs to do winter sowing. And I thought, I guess if you did it all at once, it would be kind of a pain. But since I do them as I use up the product, then it doesn't seem that big of a deal. I poke the holes, cut it open, bring it out here, and then I fill it up and sow when I get the chance. So it's, I guess, slow. So this is the beauty of slow gardening. Nothing's too fiddly if you're wanting to put in the work. And there's great success with winter sowing, and I have a whole blog post and video on. I have a few blog posts on winter sowing method and how well it works. So if you don't at first succeed, try again. There could be one little element that you missed or you did incorrectly, or that circumstance at that time changed. I've had some years where things worked great and then the next year they didn't work as well because of the weather and different things. But I just want you to walk away from this knowing that slow gardening really is beneficial for you. It's beneficial for nature, and it's a great way to garden to keep it from being overwhelming and expensive. So I wish you happy and healthy gardening, and I hope you join me next time for another video on some kind of gardening stuff. I'm not sure what. I always fly by the seat of my pants. So see you next time.